Hi, this is Justin with Justin's Web Design and More Business Today. Today we're going to do a quick overview of the new editor that we use for editing basic websites that I develop on Justin's Web Design. This is at infoready.us. You should receive an email with your login information when you have access. And if you forget your password, you can click on the forgot password link here, or if you never got your sign up email, if I've put you into the system, you'll be able to go to forgot password, fill out that information, and get your password reset. And when you go to infoready.us, it just automatically comes here to this login screen, and then you log in with your email address and password. This brings you to the dashboard, and the main reason you do that is to edit your site. You can see you actually could have multiple sites in here. Some people have different sites for different things, or they have access to different sites. Additionally, here in the dashboard, under account, you can change your password and email address. And then you have the statistics. I do recommend that you use this link here. It's just one step easier to do the statistics by clicking on the statistics that are next onto the stats link that is next to training. We want to edit the site, which is what, as I said, we'll do most of the time. You can click the edit link here with a pencil, or you can actually click on the site name or the screen capture of it. There are a few ways to move around within the site when you're in it. The most straightforward is you can actually click on the links just as if you were accessing them from the site. So that's one way to do it, probably the most straightforward. Also, all the pages are listed in this drop down here, so that gives you access to move around within the sites. If you want to change something by default, if you want to change anything, then you right click on it, and it's going to give you a context menu with different things that you can do to it. So for example, on this text, you can edit the text, and then it brings up a little editor that allows you to edit it. Or also, if you click on it, it also brings that up. If you just single left click on it, that's the default action for that one. But here's a YouTube video. If I right click on that, if I click on it, it plays it, which we don't want it to do. But if I right click, I can choose edit, design, edit design, and you have all these other options, which I explain in future videos. It's a YouTube video, and actually it's a little counterintuitive, but if you want to change the video, then you can do it through here as well, because once you right click and you choose either edit design or edit content, when that's available. In fact, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'd expect to happen. I must have actually clicked right on the little play button to make it play. Usually if you single click on it, it should bring up the content one where you just put in the YouTube video. I'll explain how to insert videos in a future video. The main thing I'm showing you here is that you can right click on an item, and that's the default way that you'd find out how to do something with an item that's already in there. I should also note that almost everything on here, maybe everything, is drag and drop, which means if I want to move this paragraph over here, I can just click on it and drag it over. If I want to move it back, I can click over it and drag it over. So the different elements, when you hover over them, you'll see how they have a blue box around them that tells you it's an element. Here's the button, for instance. So I can drag that button further into different areas. I should note at this time too, one of your options, you have to pay attention to what's happening, because one of your options that'll happen is it'll give you the option when you're dragging it around to insert a new row if it thinks that's what you're trying to do. It'll also do the same thing sometimes when you're doing a column. It'll ask you if you want to, when it says new row, it's creating a whole new row, and we'll go into that in greater detail in the layout video, but just be aware of it, that might not be where you're trying to drag it. Another thing to be conscious of is that we have a header. So you see when you hover over this top part, it says header down here in the orange, and then at the bottom, way here at the bottom, we have a footer. These header and footers are by default on every page. So when you make a change, like I add something to this header or to the footer, it's going to show up on every page. Now we'll look at the different menu items here on the left, and this is how you add stuff to your site. So we'll just go through them one at a time here. I will note, just so that you are aware as we go along here, widgets is where most everything is. That's what you're going to use most often. But you have design. Design changes the global design. This is important for your site. Most of these things will change your design for the entire site, and for the most part, I don't recommend that you tinker around with the design too much. We can get into greater detail if it's something you're interested in. Then I'm happy to discuss it with you. If you want to, in a nutshell, if you want to make changes where like all the headings are different. So if I go to global text, I have my headings here, and so I can change that, and it'll change all of the H1 headings, so all of the headings that are set for that. And then there's H2 and H3 and all of that. So that gets a little convoluted. It's probably not something you need to worry about too much, but I would note that as far as design goes, you're better off to use kind of standard designs that are already built into it. And so therefore, if you're doing a lot of headings that are all the same size, but you're manually editing the text in order to make it that size, then it may be time to look at the global design. Overall, you're better off not to fool around with this too much, but I will show you how to do a backup and restore and all of that. So it's not the end of the world if something changes and it you have some unforeseen problem. Pages, as you would expect by the title, these are the pages on the site. This is where you can create a new page. For the most part, unless, well, you can make all these different ones. I would recommend that even if you were making an About Us page, you'd use a blank page. But contact us, locations, a lot of these are interesting. They just start you out with a template, and you can always delete stuff from that template. So it's a good tool. Also, you can, again, this is drag and drop, so you can move around the order of the pages in here, and I'll get into that more. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I should note too here, the pop-ups are also in this section. So when you click on a link and it pops up into a shadow box in the middle of the screen, you can add those as well, and you'll see they have different pop-ups, contact pop-up, and online scheduling, all kinds of good stuff. And as I said, close that. Widgets is where most everything is. So if you want to add text, you want to add headings, you want to add small headings, images, slideshows, photo galleries, YouTube video, and you have a search in here, so you don't have to say you want to do a YouTube video, even though it doesn't, it just says video. Then when I typed you, then it brought it up. If you wanted to do a button, you could type in start to type in button, it'll come up, and so on and so forth. So you can always use the search function. There are a lot of different things you can do, and so the search function helps a lot. You also have the sections in here, and the sections kind of create built layouts. So you can see that you'll have like this layout that has 3 images or 3 rows of text, or an image with a background for social. So it just has these pre-built ones that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Close that. Content is the files and images and information for the site. So it allows you can manage images, for example. You can upload images. You're able to upload images when you when you're actually adding the image as well. But this allows you to manage and upload images separately, and you can see uploaded. If you've imported images from an old site, then those will be in there. Also, a lot of times you'll have images you've imported from Facebook. I like to have manage images on. That allows you to add folders, so you'd have a folder for different sets of images, but I won't get that far into that right now. We'll cover that when we're talking about images and files. So if you want to have a PDF that someone could download or something like that, you can upload a file here. Business information, your phone number, email address, social accounts. When you put them into here, it makes it easy to access them later. It also gives you the option of doing a find and replace. When you put, like, if you change the phone number in here, it'll ask you if you want to do a find and replace, and it'll find and replace instances of the old phone number. A business profile, you can fill in this information. It helps a little bit down the road with different sections. And there's a find and replace in here. Now be careful with the find and replace. I should note, skip this here. I guess the find and replace may specifically be for phone numbers. And here's the import content, and that's what I was saying. You put in a URL or a Facebook page, and it'll do its best to import the text and, well, the images from the Facebook page, but text and image from a website. This has probably already been done when we built the site for you. Personalization is actually personalization for your end users. So if you want to do this gets a little complicated and we'll get into it more, but basically it makes it so that, for example, you could pop up something for people who are accessing your site who are close by. You could add something different, or you can have a special promo that goes for a certain time. It has different rules that select when you put up a specific notification pop-up or a special promotion or whatever for your customer. So website personalization is talking about personalization for your end user. The store, won't get into the store too much here in this video, but suffice to say it's a system for making it so you can sell stuff on your site. And except for very small, simple stores, then there's extra cost that goes along with running a store. A blog. Blogs are a way for you to post short blog posts / articles, and that's what this is for. And you can go into your blog, and that brings you into a completely different section of the site that operates in a similar fashion but different. So that's something you'd go to the blog video for. Settings. You can change your fave icon. That's the little icon at the that shows up like here. You can see the little gear here. That's a fave icon, or this little here, this little icon here. Those are fave icons. You can add different images that are related to your business here. You can put in a default title and description for your site. You can redirect specific URLs, like if you are switching from a different site, you can redirect the old pages to the new pages. That's something we will have done for you probably if we're switching it. Change the site language. I can't imagine you do that. If you're an international business, it's a good idea to have the cookie notification on, which just if you're doing the personalization and you're using international business, they use a cookie in order to do that. And so what this does is it gives them a cookie notification. It puts a little pop-up, which I'm sure you've seen before, that says we use cookies, basically. And so, but the reason why it's important if you're international is because it's not as important here in the U.S., but in Europe and stuff, then there are specific laws about that. And that's an overall overview of the menus here. There are just a couple of quick things that I want to add, and then we'll be done with this video here. One is the site automatically gets saved. So one of the questions that comes up is, how do I save it? It automatically gets saved. It doesn't show up for the public automatically. When you want it to show up for the public, you hit republish, and that makes it show up for the public. But as far as your changes, they're getting saved all the time, and that's usually good. However, if you make a mistake and it saves it, and that can be bad. So if you add something accidentally, you check it's saved for all intents and purposes. Now you could go in and just delete that in that case, but you also have an undo, which is right here, and you have a redo. So if you undo something, you're like, oops, I undid something I didn't want to undo, then you can redo it. And it just, redoes what was just undone. I don't know how many it saves, 6 or 7 undos that you can go backwards, something like that. And the other thing that you have is to protect you, going back under settings, backup site, I didn't mention. You can save a backup of your site at any point, and you can restore from any of these backups. So it makes backups automatically when you publish. You see all the auto backups here. But if you want to make a backup, you're about to make a bunch of changes, you can make a backup, hit save, and it'll make a backup of the site. Now, if I mess up something, I can hit restore. I can come back to the backups and hit restore on this, and it'll reset it like I never started. So you don't have to worry about making mistakes as much, because you can just restore the backup. And even if you didn't save a backup, you'll have a backup of the last time you published, so you can restore that one. So it's not that, you can break it obviously, but it's hard to break it in a way that isn't pretty easy to recover from. And that's all there is for the overview. I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video to explain things in more depth. Thanks.